Welcome to my podcast. My name is Lavelle Bellany, and I'm an advertising major at San Jose State University. And today, I'm going to be talking about how fantasy football works. So, first things first, what is fantasy football? Fantasy football is something that you can participate in every year the NFL football season is around. So, basically, you're in charge of your own team in which you create by going through a pretend draft of current NFL players. Fantasy football basically requires that you join a league with other players ranging from 8 players to 16 players. Now, in the fantasy football world, these players, they are not known as players. They're known as leagues. So basically, we reference to them as 8-man leagues, 10-man leagues, and so on, all the way up to 16-man leagues. So the fun part about fantasy football is that you can play against family, friends, co-workers, or you can just join a public league playing against other public players. So with that, depending on the league that you are joining, you can either participate in a free league or a league that has a pot. What do I mean when I say pot? This means that each individual player contributes the same amount of money, so that way at the end of the season, depending on who has the most points, wins the pot. They take all the money. So first things first, how do you start? Well, the most important part of fantasy football is the draft. This is very particular when you are picking your team. One, because you have a specific time and date to draft your team. On top of that, there is a specific draft method that you need to be aware of, so that way you can strategize which players you want to pick. So the most popular draft method is known as the snake draft. The snake draft works in a way where the first round draft pick gets to choose their player first, and then so on it goes to the second pick, to the third pick, to the fourth pick. Let's say we'll go to 10. Now, after the first round, whoever picked last in the first round gets to choose first on the second round. So, like I said, the draft is the most important part of fantasy football. So you want to make sure that you are drafting the best players to your knowledge, because their performances in their actual games determine how many points you score, and at the end of the season determines if you win the pot or not. Now, each week you will have a matchup with someone within your league, and your job is to strategize who you're going to play on your team that is actually playing that night, morning, whatever day it might be, and if they are going to perform well enough to beat that other league in your team. Game by game and week by week, your player stats are recorded along with all the other teams within your league. So that way, by the end of the season, right before the playoffs, all the points are generated, which decides who's going to go to playoffs and who will play each other. And like I said, the person with the most points wins the pot. Again, this is Lavelle. Thank you for listening to my podcast about how to play fantasy football. I hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned for more.